Hello music makers, Nick from Gorley Records here. So it appears Waves is hopping on the Space Reverb bandwagon and has introduced their new plugin, which is called Space Rider. I've made a few videos about Waves products in the past, and some of you have purchased using my affiliate link. And all this link does is give me store credit, which can be used for nothing else than to get more Waves products. So I thought we'd spend some of those credits and take a look at this new plugin they have to offer. Now, Space Rider enters a rather crowded space of space reverb type plugins. So rather than preset surf, which by the way, the presets are rather underwhelming in Space Rider, this video will instead focus on what Space Rider has to offer in terms of functionality. Then at the end of this video, I will discuss some alternative plugins that might better suit your needs. But enough dilly-dallying, to the box! So what is Space Rider? Space Rider, at its core, is a multi-effects plugin which offers a very rudimentary chorus, delay, and reverb. Waves says these were built from the ground up, and I can't help but think that maybe they should have built on what they already have, because as standalones, I don't think any of these effects are anything to write home about, but when they are used in unison with the Rider functionality, yes, see, they do serve their purpose. Let's just go ahead and init for the sake of this video. So the chorus is just two modes. Type 1 functions similar to like a doubler, and type 2 is more vintage chorus that works with slow transients. Delay has pretty much everything you'd expect delay to have. Ping pong, low high pass filter, modulation for the signal, and offsets of the modulation for left and right. Reverb, again, just has a lot of standard settings you'd see, pre-delay, dampenings, width, and decay. The only notable point here is that the reverb has a space algorithm, which is all the rage these days, and that sounds like this. As far as space reverbs go, there are two plugins I think have a better algorithm for this, which is Cherry Audio's Galactic Reverb and Baby Audio's Crystalline, but we'll get to that at the end of the video. So if you're wondering, well, if the effects are rudimentary, then why would I pay $50 for this thing? Well, the main functionality and key selling point to Space Rider is actually about this rider at the bottom, which flips between an A and a B signal. What this allows you to do is to set your effects parameters for A. We'll just set some here real quick. Let's just turn these on, yada yada, whatever. And then you can go to B, and you can set kind of the endpoints of these. And then from here, you can modulate between the two signals manually by just sliding this or assigning it to a macro knob, or you can set it to auto, which will follow the incoming signal, and how it reacts can be adjusted down here with sensitivity, attack, and release. Essentially, the louder a signal gets, the more the slider moves towards B. Waves calls this a rider, but in other terminologies, you'd often see this feature as called a follower, where it follows the level of the input signal. Here's a more complete preset I actually designed for this demonstration. So you can see the knobs all changing based on the rider position is actually all pretty smooth. And as far as mapping this plugin goes between A and B, it really couldn't be any simpler. So here is another example I'm going to show. This is from an EP that I helped a local artist, Hannah Jackson, record. There'll be a link down below if you want to hear the whole EP. I didn't use Space Rider on the final EP. This is a very acoustic EP, but I just wanted to show it here for demonstration purposes. So we'll show it once here for the vocals and the harmonies, and then another for the acoustic guitar in it as well. So here is the audio just dry.
I go out of body staring at my body through the ceiling.
And then here it is with this chain setup. So what this chain is going to do is as it goes from A to B, it's going to sort of duck the effects. So the feedback and from the delay and the decay of the reverb are going to drop. And that just makes more room for the vocals while still having some nice effects.
I go out of body staring at my body through the ceiling.
Also in here, we have some acoustic guitar. And with the effect. Nothing too specific in this demo, just some interest. And here is all of that, both dry at first, and then I will turn it on to show you the wet.
I go out of body staring at my body through the ceiling. I never stare at myself for too long, 'cause if I do then I can hear the song of angels singing. Honey, put your head under.
Oh, Hannah, you are just amazing. So in a nutshell, even though there's really nothing too exciting about all of these effects individually, when paired with this rider functionality, you can actually get some pretty interesting results. Now, a quick note about the presets. A lot of these are kind of a joke as they don't really use the rider functionality in any meaningful way. Many are just effects presets and some barely utilize the rider, if at all. In this preset here, it's not even mapped to anything at all. And in other cases, it just barely moves any of the knobs. This is sort of weird because the whole point of this plugin is to use the rider, so I think a lot of sound designers they use for this kind of just miss the point with this plugin. But it is really simple and easy to use and make your own sounds, so I'm not too concerned about it. I personally don't ever find use from the presets in 90% of the Waves plugins I've used, so it's kind of par for the course. If anyone wants me to make a preset pack for this, let me know, and if enough people are interested, I can put one together. So now that we get an idea of the functionality, I'd like to show you some other plugins that might provide a similar functionality in terms of following and ducking an audio signal. And this will just help you know other options that are out there. First off, you might not need any plugin at all. If you like this rider mechanic and you envision using it to duck an audio signal for an effect, so that the effect signal gets quieter as the audio gets louder to maintain a clean sound and avoid muddying up your mix, you can actually do this by putting a sidechain compressor onto the end of any effects chain, and then just sidechain that to your audio signal for that effects chain. In Ableton, for example, here I have an effects chain of a chorus, delay, and reverb, and at the end of those effects is a compressor which is sidechained to my audio source, which is also the send to this whole chain. This will allow the effect rack to be fed the audio real-time to make sure all reverb tails are rendered properly, but the reverb output will duck whenever your audio signal increases, and when the signal dies, it picks up the tail of your effects back up again, which is great for preventing huge reverbs from muddying up your audio. So without the compressor sidechaining and doing the ducking, this is what the audio chain sounds like.
Honey, put your head under.
So very big, loud, very muddy, can't hear anything. But when you turn this on and have the sidechain, have this compressor make the audio duck when the signal is louder, it will make the vocals come through clearer, and as the vocals fade out, you will hear kind of a burst of energy from the reverb tail as the audio signal from the effects chain is increased. And you can watch that here on this little EQ8.
Honey, put your head under.
Now, sometimes this process can be more tedious if you're new to this kind of thing, and also limited to the tools you already have, especially if your DAW doesn't have a way to do any sidechain compression, in which case you will probably be in search of a plugin. So let me recommend a few that are very similar. So when dealing with AB effects, I can't help but immediately think of the Baby Audio / Andrew Huang collaboration plugin which came out last year called Transit. Transit is designed with a similar spirit of having an A and B parameter, which you can transition or ride between using this macro knob. A key differentiator is that Transit has a much larger suite of effects to choose from. You can also customize your signal chain. And there's also curve settings on each knob to adjust the exponential factor of how fast or slow the parameter will change between A and B as the macro knob is turned, which is pretty cool. What Transit does not have is a built-in follower to adjust the knob for the audio signal. It's only just manual through turning this knob with a macro or programming automation, although it would make an excellent feature update. However, depending on your DAW, you might have a way to add in this function quickly. In Ableton Live, for example, you can add in an envelope follower, which does the same thing that Rider does in Space Rider, except that you can map it to any parameter. So here in Transit, for example, you can press configure, mess with your knob, and then now the macro knob controls here, just quickly map it to that. Now when envelope follower receives audio, it will function just like Rider does, and it will sound like this. Ooh, automation. So mapping this to the Transit macro knob gets the exact same effect as Space Rider, but with a much larger suite of effects to choose from, and also way better presets. Now, I'm not sure which DAWs all have this sort of envelope follower feature, so it's worth Googling to see if it's included with your DAW. But regardless, Transit is simply a really useful utility to have at your disposal, and it's great for transitions on any mix and is overall more versatile than Space Rider. Now, Transit is double the cost of Space Rider, though arguably you get astronomically more functionality. Pun. Also, Baby Audio does run sales, so you'll probably see this for half off at some point. Now, another way to mirror Space Rider is using my personal all-time favorite plugin, Shaperbox 3 by Cableguys. This is truly my desert island plugin, and no one sentence can best describe Shaperbox. It's a multi-effects plugin which has multiple effects engines with an insane amount of control over the different parameters. One of the signature things about Shaperbox is you can sort of draw in your own envelopes on here, and different parameters can have different envelopes, and also different frequency bands can also have different envelopes. So you can do a lot of designing in this thing. But in terms of comparing it with Space Rider, I want to point out its envelope section. In this section, you can set the envelope to follow or duck with some pretty advanced controls for each, and it will react based on the incoming audio signal, just like Rider, except with way more control, especially since you can adjust everything independently for each different effect, as well as frequency and setting. It's totally bananas. So this just kind of example preset will highlight that. The full capabilities of Shaperbox stretches beyond this video, and this just scratches the surface, but you can see how it can perform a similar role to Space Rider. This Reverb Shaper is also their most recent addition to this plugin, and it has a ton of different reverb algorithms inside of it. You can get the full Shaperbox bundle for $99, which for the amount of features and the capabilities of this plugin has to be one of the best deals of effects plugins the internet has to offer, period. Oh, and it also has a really amazing preset section where things are sorted by different categories and is always constantly being updated. And yeah, shout out to that. Now, if the space part of Space Rider is what appeals to you most and you just want an amazing cosmic algorithmic reverb, then I'd look no further than Cherry Audio's Galactic Reverb. This is simply just an amazing space-inspired reverb and also has built-in ducking features. It's what I default to anytime I'm going for a space vibe, and it sounds like this. Also a worthy mention for reverbs here is Baby Audio's Crystalline. Crystalline? Potato, tomato? Crystalline is my all-around favorite algorithmic reverb plugin, and while it doesn't market itself as being a space reverb, it does have a pretty good job as well as a spacey size of a reverb. And it also has a ducker built in, and it sounds like this. Well, that's it for this video. I hope this guide helps you in making an informed purchase decision. Let me know what you decided to go with, or of any other honorable mentions of plugins which could be alternatives to Space Riders in the comments below. And I will catch you all on the next one.